Now at 9, Carthage authorities investigate the death of a worker in an industrial accident. Plus, law enforcement agencies in Newton County are struggling to keep employees. And the city of Joplin begins beautification efforts by replacing invasive trees downtown.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Authorities in Carthage say a worker at a food plant died yesterday in an industrial accident. Around 3:45 yesterday, police received reports of a worker entrapped in a machine at the Schreiber Foods plant on Claxton Avenue. When they arrived, they found the male worker unconscious and not responsive. They called for a med flight, but before it got there, they declared the worker dead. Authorities are now investigating the incident as an industrial accident. The Newton County Sheriff's Office and Carl Junction Police Department are 2 law enforcement agencies currently affected by a nationwide law enforcement shortage. KOAM's Anthony Saviello spoke with both agencies about why this has become an issue in our area.
Every day, we rely on our law enforcement officers to keep the peace, but agencies in our area are seeing a decline in officer employment.
Since 2018, we've had 36 employees leave. 4 retired, 9 either were fired or didn't complete their training. 17 got out of law enforcement completely. Only 6 have went to other agencies. We can't compete with the private market.
Newton County Sheriff Chris Jennings is one leader feeling the strain from the lack of employees.
Right, and unless you've been married to a first responder, you're not going to understand the fear.
Heather Jensen is the wife of a police officer in Carl Junction, where police retention is also an issue. The lack of police officers there only adds on to the fear that her husband may not come home.
There's nights that I cry myself to sleep because I am afraid my husband will come home, and I understand to the outside looking in, it's just a small little country town, but there's a lot that goes on that the public doesn't know about. They just don't, and they're not going to know because they do a good job of keeping it quiet and keeping the citizens feeling safe. But if you don't have any officers to continue to make people feel safe, what's going to happen?
Where the FBI says that a town of our size needs 15, 16 to 20 officers, and we have 11. So not only have we not been able to give raises, we haven't even been able to keep pace with what the FBI says that we should have.
Unfortunately, solutions are less than ideal.
So we're looking at maybe cutting some services in order to give raises in the short term.
One thing that each agency understands and recognizes is that this is a big problem in our area, but it's also a big problem nationwide. Reporting in Newton County, Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
In a statement released by the Department of Justice, Attorney General Garland said, quote, "We are committed to doing everything we can to support local police departments as they work to serve their communities, build public trust, and keep people safe," end quote. Well, Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty joins us with a first look at weather.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a very mild day for us today. Look at our high temperature, 68 degrees, not far from the record. We started at 41, average high is 48 degrees, so 20 degrees above where we should be for this time of the year. Also breezy. Southerly winds kicking in. These are going to get moving as we go through the overnight hours tonight. We have a wind advisory in effect as we go into Thursday. A lot of clouds across the region. We have some hit and miss little showers out to the west. As that rolls in toward us, we could see a few random showers in here late tonight into tomorrow morning. I'm really just kind of thinking a sprinkle. A lot of this is not even going to be reaching the ground, but you can see some hit and miss little sprinkles and showers late tonight into Thursday morning. We do have another storm system which is going to be rolling in just in time for Super Bowl Sunday. We're going to look at all that here in just a bit.
Thanks, Doug. Well, the Missouri State Auditor today announced plans to launch an audit of the city of Joplin. Scott Fitzpatrick says it comes at the request of residents who gathered more than 2,200 signatures. The city was last audited in 2015 and received an overall performance rating of poor. The new audit will officially begin on February 20th with an entrance meeting with county officials. Out with the old and in with the new, the city of Joplin announces its next beautification project is to replace trees along Main Street. KOAM's Amber Jenkins explains why.
The city of Joplin is replacing the non-native calorie pear trees along Main Street as a part of a beautification project. This project is funded by the citizens-approved proposition use tax and the associated beautification initiative efforts.
This first batch of trees from 1st to 32nd Street is about $50,000. There's some additional work that we'd like to do on Joplin Avenue, replacing those trees, which may be an additional $20,000 to $25,000 that we'll look at.
City officials predict the project would take 6 to 8 weeks. They want to plant lower maintenance and more environmental friendly trees.
They've overgrown into the awnings of some of the businesses. There's been complaints about dropping fruits and limbs and that kind of stuff. So we're replacing them with more appropriate size trees, which are smaller type trees, more appropriate for a downtown streetscape setting. So I know there's some Japanese pagoda trees, lilac trees for specifically downtown.
Some downtown business owners are excited.
When they get large like that, they start dropping stuff, and so just keeping things cleaned up. But I think the city, all in all, does a good job, you know, with the downtown community, and we appreciate it.
We have been seeing a lot more foot traffic, and even with the construction downtown, we have been seeing more traffic because people are walking by or on their way to their meetings. They're stopping by and saying hello because they have to park behind the building, or even when they're down to one lane, it forces them almost to kind of sit and look at our windows.
Reporting in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Well, the city first planted calorie pear trees along Main Street in 2008, and they're called a non-native tree because the species is originally from China and Vietnam. Well, residents in Chanute, Kansas today had a chance to learn about the new VA clinic opening in Iola. With the new clinic comes the closure of 3 others in Chanute, Garnett, and Fort Scott. Today's meeting isn't the only one available. There will be one tomorrow in Iola from 5:30 to 7:30 at the North Community Center, and then on Friday there's one at the Fort Scott Community College, also from 5:30 to 7:30. Medical staff and students conducted a disaster simulation today. The simulation took place at the Irene Ransom Bradley School of Nursing at PSU. Medical personnel practice what to do in a disaster situation like the Joplin tornado of 2011. They also learned how to assign color levels to triaging patients. Oriented, non-injured patients rate green, critical but savable patients rate red, and patients beyond saving rate black.
You're not our first priority, and I think that's something yet again is tough, and it's definitely stressful in the moment. I mean, we walked up to a patient out there and we're like, what do? Their chest cavity is completely open. I mean, that's just realistically not someone we're going to be able to save in this kind of situation. But it took us a second of being like, okay, they're black, move on.
The simulation also provided training for dealing with media in disaster situations. Well, coming up, why Gen Zers think it's okay to drive under the influence of marijuana. A second round of flu activity is spreading across the country following the holiday season. The CDC says more than 16% of clinical lab samples tested positive for the flu for the week ending January 27th. That's up nearly 2% from the week before. Half of Americans have not had a flu shot, which health experts say could help prevent severe illness or even death.
These respiratory viruses like to plague us through February into March, and then that's when they really begin to recede. Not enough people really took the vaccine, and I would hope that people have a belated New Year's resolution to this fall, when we get into September and October, to get that flu vaccine, because it does help keep you out of the hospital.
The CDC says at least 20 million Americans have gotten the flu since October. More than a third of Gen Z thinks it's okay to drive under the influence of marijuana, and that's according to a survey from the Colorado Department of Transportation. So as Fox's Andrea Henderson reports, the department is working to change that view.
Gen Z is getting behind the wheel after using marijuana more than any other age group.
Unfortunately, there's a pretty large minority that are making bad decisions when it comes to consuming cannabis and driving.
According to a survey from the Colorado Department of Transportation, 37% of people ages 16 to 24 believe they can safely drive under the influence of marijuana. 1 out of 5 Gen Z drivers also admitted to driving high within the last month.
They've got their whole lives ahead of them. The last thing they want is a DUI, and the last thing they want is to end up in jail and with $13,000 in fines and penalties.
In 2020, more than 4,200 drivers between the ages of 16 and 24 got a DUI in Colorado. Of those tested, 62.5% tested positive for THC. That's higher than any other age group.
I think there's two things that Gen Zers need to know. Number one, that you can get a DUI for driving under the influence of cannabis. And number two, it's dangerous. It impairs your perception of time, distance, and speed.
CDOT now working with the DMV, driving schools, and dispensaries like Native Roots to educate young drivers.
We put customer or safety messages on our customer receipts. We have all of our bud tenders take the CDOT Cannabis Impaired Driving course. And we also offer delivery.
She says it's important their customers stay safe.
Regardless of substance or scenario, it's just never okay to drive impaired, which is why we have that focus within our stores.
Well, Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later, a former Pitt State wide receiver who transferred to the Division I level is a gorilla once again.
Well, of course, it turned out to be a super mild day for us today. Temperatures upper 60s to near 70 degrees. Looks great outside right now. Nice shot of our Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex tower cam looking northeast into downtown. And as we go through the night tonight, our temperatures just aren't going to be dropping off much. Look at this. We hang into the 50s. Overnight low only down to about 52. Plus the winds are really going to get moving. We've had south winds kind of 5 to 15 all day long for us today, but by morning, check this out. So here's 6 a.m. We're going to have winds gusting 40 upwards to 45 miles per hour. So super windy on your Thursday. They back down a little bit on Friday, but still we're going to have winds gusting 20 to 30 as we go into Friday afternoon. So at least for your Thursday, a wind advisory is in effect due to those high wind gusts. Plus, the humidity is going to drop during the afternoon, so definitely not a good burning day. A lot of clouds across the region. We've had some light showers out across central parts of Kansas. These are going to roll in toward us later on tonight, but the lower levels of the atmosphere are fairly dry, so maybe a random shower, a few sprinkles. Stronger system dipping into parts of California. That system moves in just in time for Super Bowl Sunday. So let's take a look. A lot of people are going to be going, or at least traveling regionally or locally for Super Bowl parties. All right, so Saturday is going to be fine, but as we get into Sunday afternoon, we'll stop at about the noon hour. Rain starts to increase. We're sitting into lower 40s. Now, this is still, 4.5 days away, so a lot can change. But rain increases Sunday afternoon into Sunday night, and if enough cold air can swipe in, we could see a switch over to snow. If this occurs, I would think the heavier track would be from Wichita to Kansas City, and that's just looking back at the pattern where those heavier tracks have really set up. But still, most of us could get some snow Sunday night into Monday morning. Until then, the mild temperatures stick around. Again, late tonight into tomorrow morning, random shower, random sprinkle. We start with clouds, sunshine by the afternoon, mid-60s by noon, and most of us, again, 68, 69, 70 degrees. Tomorrow night, we don't drop back much at all, upper 40s to near 50. And then Friday, much of the same. Southerly winds, we warm right back up into the mid to upper 60s for afternoon highs. So we get 2 more days that we are going to see really nice temperatures. Now, Friday evening, a wave slides by. This could give us a few random showers. So a slight chance for a shower tomorrow morning and a slight chance for a shower again on Friday evening. Here's your day planner for you Thursday, 55 in the morning, 64 by noon. High temp up to 68 degrees during the afternoon hours. Your 10-day 68, tomorrow 67 on Friday. Cooler for the weekend, but not bad Saturday. High temp of 53, those showers rolling in. Late Sunday could end with some snow showers on Monday, and then staying in the 50s once again most of next week.
Doug's still hoping for his Super Bowl win and snow. Two favorites. All right, well, coming up, another record broken on Super Bowl Sunday.
2/3 of American adults live in states with legalized sports gambling, but how many are putting money on the Super Bowl? I'm Jonathan Seri in Atlanta. I'll have details coming up.
Officials in Ecuador think they've pinpointed the source of lead poisoning in cinnamon applesauce packets sold here in the U.S. They believe that lead originated from a ground cinnamon processor called Carlos Aguilera, which is no longer in operation. It's unclear how the lead got into the cinnamon, but one FDA official believes it was an intentional act. Some suppliers try to bulk up food sold by weight by adding substances like lead to it. Well, data from the American Gaming Association shows 1 in 4 Americans will wager on Super Bowl 58 as the Chiefs face off against the 49ers. Fox News senior correspondent Jonathan Seri has more on just how many people plan to place a bet now that legalized gambling is more widely available.
Las Vegas is the entertainment capital of the world and at the heart of Sin City, gambling, something that will likely spike Super Bowl weekend.
It's really a full circle moment for Las Vegas to host its first Super Bowl, and that's drawing more attention to betting, and people want to get in on the action.
And record numbers of Americans are expected to be all in. The American Gaming Association predicting 67.8 million American adults will place a bet on this year's Super Bowl. That's a 35% increase from 2023.
American adults plan to wager $23 billion this year on the Super Bowl, whether that's online with a sports book, in person, or casually among family and friends.
More than 42 million are planning to go the traditional route, plunking down their cash online at a retail sports book or with a bookie. Another 36 million wagers will be casual bets with friends, like pools or Super Bowl boxes.
Maybe like a little bet for fun.
In the last 5 years, legal betting has seen enormous growth, expanding from Nevada to 38 states plus Washington, D.C. And this is the second straight year traditional Super Bowl bets are expected to outpace casual wagers. But not everyone is putting their money behind action on the field.
I was debating the Gatorade color.
If you want to bet on the halftime show or something Taylor Swift related, you can't turn to legal wagering.
We want to make sure we can offer wagers on things that can be guaranteed as a win or a loss.
So which team are bettors backing?
According to American Gaming Association research, the Chiefs are the slight favorite this year, so it's a bit of a toss-up, but it'll be a big game on Sunday, and we're excited to see how it all ends up.
The American Gaming Association reminds anyone gambling on the big game to set a plan to bet responsibly, including setting a budget, sticking to it, knowing your limits, and keeping informed on the odds. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
Well, up next, we'll learn the story behind this now award-winning photo. An image of a napping polar bear curled up on an iceberg is the winner of this year's Wildlife Photographer of the Year People's Choice Award. It's called Ice Bed. British amateur photographer Nima Sarikhani captured the image off the coast of Norway. He said he wants it to inspire hope that there's still time to reverse climate change. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports is coming your way. We'll meet a Pittsburgh native that made it to the big screen in the new Mean Girls movie. Plus, how an elementary in Frontenac, Kansas is celebrating Chief Spirit Week today.
You're watching the 4 states' most watched news.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. You can now watch a Pittsburgh native on the big screen. Will Jewett is one of the dancers in the new Mean Girls movie. KOAM's Fernanda Silva has his story.
So I did get some like, are you kidding me? I didn't know you were in the Mean Girls movie, or Or even like, I didn't know I'd be able to spot you so easily.
Will Jewett is being spotted by fellow Pittsburgh High School graduates, family, and friends on his appearance in the new Mean Girls movie. His proud mom, Janice, watched the movie 8 times already to make sure she's not missing a single second of Will in the big screen.
I would say by the 6th time I saw it, sounds funny, but I think I found him in every place that he's in the movies.
If you're a true fan of the 2004 Mean Girls like I am, I would say just not going in thinking you're going to see a replica of that, nostalgic original Mean Girls.
This is the first time Will is in a film, but dance has always been there for him. Even though his mom is a dance instructor at PSU, Genesis says that has nothing to do with her.
As parents, we noticed that he had great rhythm early on, that he could carry a melody. He memorized lyrics after just hearing a song once.
Will says he wouldn't be there if he wasn't from where he comes from.
How Pittsburgh was important for you through your career?
Important beyond what I can explain. Like the Pittsburgh High School theater program was and is still like top notch.
And it was at home where he found even more support.
Support came so naturally. And then my dad took like one step longer. He came to a dance competition. And when the word competition gets put into something, my dad, former track and field cross country coach at Pittsburgh State, was like, oh yeah, I can get behind a competition. They were interested in me enjoying myself, feeling fulfilled.
Will has far more talents than I could ever imagine, so I have learned more from him than he has learned from me by a whole bunch.
In Pittsburgh, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
Well, soon Will Jewett will be joining a Broadway show where he still cannot share details. He said he'll be on the road for a year. That's pretty cool. Well, students at Frank Layden Elementary in Frontenac, Kansas today showed off their Chiefs spirit. Today's theme was Dreaming of a Win Wednesday. Students were encouraged to dress up in their pajamas or sweats, and a teacher we spoke to says days like this are great for getting kids excited for school.
Such a fun day for the kids in our community. Any Spirit Day, it doesn't have to just be Chiefs Super Bowl week, which is really awesome to have. It's just awesome to dress up with the kids, and it keeps us teachers young and excited to be at school, and it hopefully that carries over to the kids too.
You can see how other area schools have been celebrating Chief Spirit Week on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, the Senate is struggling to pass crucial legislation for the border and to help allies at war. Fox News correspondent Connor Hansen has more from New York.
Senate Republicans shot down a major aid package funding the border, Israel, and Ukraine. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer's next step, a similar bill without the border portion.
The legislation on the floor today is one of the most important security packages the Senate has considered in a very long time. So the onus is on Senate Republicans to finally take yes for an answer.
Speaker Mike Johnson said he would wait and see what the Senate comes up with, but complained that Democrats wouldn't pass a standalone Israel aid package a day earlier.
There is no reason whatsoever for them to object to the contents of that bill. They're doing it for political purposes. It's bad for national security. It's also terrible policy and terrible politics.
But Democrats accused Republicans of doing the same when they opposed the original bipartisan border deal.
Republicans have been ordered by Donald Trump not to solve the challenges at the border, but to continue to play political games because they want to use the border as an electoral issue in November, and that's going to backfire.
Speaker Johnson pushed back on criticism about the lack of results.
We have steady hands at the wheel. We'll get through it. Everybody take a deep breath. It's a long game. We're going to get the job done.
The White House says it supports the Senate's version of the national security bill without the border piece. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
Well, a bit later, examining the Swift effect.
Taylor Swift's star power is already making its mark on this weekend's Super Bowl.
I'm Madison Scarpino in Atlanta. How she's impacting football, that's coming up.
Well, of course, it turned out to be a super mild day for us today. Temperatures upper 60s to near 70 degrees. Looks great outside right now. Nice shot of our Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex tower cam looking northeast into downtown. And as we go through the night tonight, our temperatures just aren't going to be dropping off much. Look at this. We hang into the 50s. Overnight low only down to about 52. Plus the winds are really going to get moving. We've had south winds kind of 5 to 15 all day long for us today. But by morning, check this out. So here's 6 a.m. We're going to have winds gusting 40 upwards to 45 miles per hour. So super windy on your Thursday. They back down a little bit on Friday, but still we're going to have winds gusting 20 to 30 as we go into Friday afternoon. So at least for your Thursday, a wind advisory is in effect due to those high wind gusts. Plus, the humidity is going to drop during the afternoon, so definitely not a good burning day. A lot of clouds across the region. We've had some light showers out across central parts of Kansas. These are going to roll in toward us later on tonight, but the lower levels of the atmosphere are fairly dry, so maybe a random shower, a few sprinkles. Stronger system dipping into parts of California. That system moves in just in time for Super Bowl Sunday. So let's take a look. A lot of people are going to be going, or at least traveling regionally or locally for Super Bowl parties. All right, so Saturday is going to be fine, but as we get into Sunday afternoon, we'll stop at about the noon hour. Rain starts to increase. We're sitting into lower 40s. Now, this is still, 4.5 days away, so a lot can change. But rain increases Sunday afternoon into Sunday night. And if enough cold air can swipe in, we could see a switch over to snow. If this occurs, I would think the heavier track would be from Wichita to Kansas City. And that's just looking back at the pattern where those heavier tracks have really set up. But still, most of us could get some snow Sunday night into Monday morning. Until then, the mild temperatures stick around. Again, late tonight into tomorrow morning, random shower, random sprinkle. We start with clouds, sunshine by the afternoon, mid 60s by noon, and most of us again, 68, 69, 70 degrees. Tomorrow night, we don't drop back much at all, upper 40s to near 50. And then Friday, much of the same. Southerly winds, we warm right back up into the mid to upper 60s for afternoon highs. So we get 2 more days that we are going to see really nice temperatures. Now, Friday evening, a wave slides by. This could give us a few random showers. So a slight chance for a shower tomorrow morning and a slight chance for a shower again on Friday evening. Here's your day planner for you Thursday, 55 in the morning, 64 by noon. High temp up to 68 degrees during the afternoon hours. Your 10-day, 68, tomorrow 67 on Friday. Cooler for the weekend, but not bad. Saturday, high temp of 53. Those showers rolling in late Sunday, could end with some snow showers on Monday, and then staying in the 50s once again most of next week.
All right, can't complain about that, that's for sure. Well, coming up in sports, it's National Signing Day for incoming college athletes. Plus, Pitt State basketball returns to the John Lance Arena. John Dales has those stories and more up next.
Oh. It is 2024 National Signing Day. Across the 4 states, several high school athletes signed their letters of intent. You can check out our website, koamnewsnow.com/sports, to hear from all of them. Pitt State football also brings in a new recruiting class, highlighted by a familiar face. Former Gorilla wide receiver Christian Carter, who played for PSU from 2019 to 2022, has signed with Pitt State again and will join the Gorillas in 2024. Carter transferred to Division I FBS Memphis in 2023. He had very limited playing time with the Tigers, only participating in 4 games and finishing the season with 2 receptions total. 2 years ago with PSU, Carter had 51 catches, 692 receiving yards, and 5 touchdowns. Pitt State basketball returns home this evening. The Gorillas women's team had entered a bit of a slump in January, but has won 4 in a row entering tonight. Pitt State enters the game on a 4-game winning streak. Gorillas facing the Central Missouri Jennies tonight. In the first, Jenna Shipley open in the corner. The lefty knocks down the 3-ball. Later in the quarter, Harper Schreiner steps back, trains it herself from beyond the arc. Closing seconds in the first half now, Alba Lozano beats the buzzer from long range. The Gorillas go into halftime with a 7-point lead. To the fourth quarter, Macy Mays passes this around the horn. Grace Pyle is there to hit the 3 in the corner. With just over 2 minutes to go, game is tied, 76 apiece. Harper Schreiner knocks down a clutch 3-ball. Pitt State leads by 2 with 3 seconds left. UCM tries to draw something up, but it misses the last shot. Pitt State hangs on to win 82-80. The Gorillas have now won 5 straight. And at Lamar, 4 student athletes signed letters of intent. Ian Googie and Kyler Nance will each play football at Southwest Baptist. Cameron Bailey and Pierce Hines sign with Crowder for cross country and track.
Just the relationship I was able to build throughout the recruiting process with the coaches, and then having some players I already knew there helped with my decision also.
Being close to home is always a positive, but they have really great facilities. Their academic is top-notch, and their coaches and staff, everyone just made me feel welcome. And
for me was really the team atmosphere, I'm going to be honest. A lot of the guys there are really goofy, just like me, and I feel like I can't go anywhere else and be like that. And the programs are really nice, and the college is really affordable for me.
Definitely finish my degree and get civil engineering, of course, and hopefully just excel in my career. I'll stay active, plan on keep on running, but mainly excel in my career.
That's a look at sports. Back with more news after this.
There is no bad blood between the NFL and Taylor Swift. The pop megastar is making a big impact on this year's football season after her love story with Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce goes public. Now, her star power is also extending to the Super Bowl. Fox News correspondent Madison Scarpino has more on the Taylor Swift effect.
This year's big game might as well be called the Swiftie Bowl. The mega pop star dominating the conversation around all things Super Bowl.
I think her personal brand is so big that she has the ability to change public opinion, change consumer behavior, whether that's football, clothing, politics.
Already the biggest television event of the year, Super Bowl 58 is likely going to be even bigger, with a record 200 million people expected to tune in, according to the NRF. As the Kansas City Chiefs face off against the San Francisco 49ers, many of those will be watching for the first time. 13% of Americans saying they have an increased interest in football this year due to the Taylor Swift effect, according to a recent Lending Tree survey. That number increasing to 20% among millennials and 24% of Gen Z, and teen girl viewers jumping more than 8%.
One of the things that an established league like this has to deal with every single year is getting more people to watch. But sort of the Taylor Swift story has actually just kind of shot it way further than what they were expecting.
Jadrian Wooten, professor of economics at Virginia Tech, says it's not just viewership. Swifties are fearless when it comes to backing the Red singer and her boyfriend, Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce, buying up game tickets, streaming services, and merchandise. In fact, Travis's jersey soaring in popularity, up nearly 400% since the Swift-Kelce era began.
To put it in perspective, he went from the 19th ranked jersey to top 5 overnight, just from her attending the game.
Clearly, there's no bad blood from the NFL. The organization generating over $330 million in brand value since the pair went public.
I would not be surprised if they have a much heavier story-focused broadcast for people who are tuning in for the first time. They're hoping that they get them to tune in, and then that they tune in next year too.
But Taylor hasn't totally taken over America's favorite pastime. According to that Lending Tree survey, 77% of Americans say they'd rather have the best ticket to the Super Bowl than the best ticket to a Taylor Swift concert. In Atlanta, Madison Scarpino, Fox News.
Well, coming up, an Australian reporter goes viral after smacking away a pesky mosquito. A literal slap in the face. An Australian reporter is getting her 15 minutes of international fame for a caught-on-camera moment that involved her slapping herself. All to shoo away some pesky mosquitoes. Jeannie Moose has the slap-happy reaction.
Bugs often use us as landing strips and even go down the hatch. But when the co-hosts at the Today Show Australia started playing amplified buzzing noises, they were setting the stage for this. Reporter Andrea Crothers didn't just swat mosquitoes, she slapped herself.
Bullseye! The mosquitoes were the biggest monsters I've ever seen in my life. I'd already whacked about 5 on my forehead before we went live that I had to wipe the blood off it because the studio said we can see it.
The gang in the studio.
But I'd like to see that whole thing like slowed down, reversed, backed up again.
We couldn't get enough of Andrea slapping herself. Who ended up hurting more, you or the mosquito?
Well, he died, I didn't, so I think probably him.
Reporters have faced much bigger distractions.
And provide a home.
But having your nose groped by an elephant is less jarring than slapping yourself silly. On her next outing, Andrea came prepared.
Don't worry, guys. HR told me I can wear it on air as long as I don't get workers' compensation for punching myself in the face.
Andrea managed to both create buzz and be a buzzkill.
They just kept making fun of her. Not even nice. That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of panda cubs in China. How sweet. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow.